Yo, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Tiki Taka podcast, where you're going to hear hot takes, unbiased opinions, and hopefully have a couple laughs along the way.
Yes.
If you are watching the video, you'll see some suitcases on set, some stuffed toys, probably.
Some things you've never seen before.
Yeah, biscuits, apparently. I've got some family over, so you're just going to have to bear with us, right? We're still bringing the show. Yeah, Liverpool kit up there after they just lost in a final, which we will talk about. But first things first, you guys seem to enjoy the episode last week, where we were picking our England squad, and I think we actually did all right. I think we might have, with Gibbs like getting called up.
It helped us.
Obviously, we didn't know that.
I think it's easier to name the ones we didn't. We didn't get Dan Burn. We didn't take Henderson.
Yep. We would have picked Solanke if we'd known Watkins was injured.
Yeah.
I'll give us that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, we got almost 20 out of the 26. We did, but then there were ones which we kind of knew Tuchel would pick, like Mark Gay, but we didn't pick that because we wanted to pick
yeah.
We got Miles Lewis-Skelly right. Morgan Rogers obviously went. Phil Foden, all of that. So yeah, you guys seem to enjoy that. So we appreciate the support on that episode, but 98% of the people watching that video weren't subscribed. So come on, guys. It's one click. And
exactly.
We're here putting content out every
regular
week.
Content there for you.
You watch it for free. It's one click.
There you are.
And me and Michael were saying that we should be subscribing more to the channels that we watch. So I understand it. But come on, guys, help us out. And look, like I already mentioned, there's a Liverpool kit up on the wall. Liverpool went to Wembley. The Geordies went to Wembley. I saw them all down in London on Saturday. Apparently 2 pubs in Covent Garden ran out of alcohol at 6 p.m.
Wow.
Box Park looked like it was going off.
I can imagine.
And look, we did our mid-season awards and predictions. If you haven't watched that, go and watch that. And we both predicted Newcastle to win this. So we were both right there. And I don't know how you maybe saw it, but to me it looked like just Newcastle just dominated them from minute one.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked about the first half. I'm not gonna lie, that really set the tone.
It was very it's just Newcastle seemed to want it more. Just simple.
That's what I was shocked. I thought coming off the PSG loss, Liverpool were gonna do the whole we're a big team. We didn't show ourselves in the PSG tie. We want this. Everyone was saying after the PSG loss, there's no better game to have as a bounce back game than a cup final. If you can't get up for a cup final, what are you in football for? That kind of stuff. So I was expecting for the first 10, 15 minutes to be balls and Robertson ball in the box, Trent ball in the box.
Yeah.
Diaz just throwing himself at things, that kind of motion. But Newcastle stifled them.
And I think Trent was a big miss.
He was a big miss when he came off. He was playing really well. Well.
Trent didn't play.
Oh, he came off in the other game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He played. He was second half. He was really ramping it up.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost just when you see them without Trent now, especially against a team like Newcastle.
It was Big Jerome.
Where is the creativity coming from in this team?
Yeah. Midfield's not got it like that.
Exactly. So Bosley, he plays as a 10, but he's not really a creative sort of guy. And obviously Dan Burn gets the first goal. The Geordie boy himself at Wembley. Big Dan Burn. I really like I like the corner tactic from Newcastle. I don't necessarily really liked, because I do think that it puts so much onus on the guy who's attacking the header to do something with it. But I liked the different approach to just putting balls in the box for Van Dijk and Konate to head away. So I like that Eddie Howe's come with a game plan of like every corner, at least in the first half or wherever it is, don't get Van Dijk and Konate that confidence of we're just going to command this box and we're just going to do this and that. And obviously Dan Burn scored in like the last corner before half time. But every corner before that, Newcastle got the first touch to the ball. They were the first head or first foot on the ball. It was an obvious plan, in it, to have Dan Burn pull out.
Yeah. It makes sense, innit? Like
keep the ball away from Van Dijk and Konate.
How many times did we just see Van Dijk or Konate get their head on it? And stuff like that, small stuff like that for finals builds. Obviously, one thing I will say as well,
as much as the game was in Wembley, it very much felt like a Newcastle home game.
Yeah.
Every throw in for Newcastle was cheered.
Yeah.
Every decision that went Newcastle's way was applauded.
Even Liverpool fans are saying that.
Yeah, on TV I could
not only did they get out-fought, out-battled, they also got out-sung and out-heard. And
like times when you're away from your screen doing whatever and you're hearing crowd noises, I'm cheering. I'm like, oh, that means something's positive happening for Newcastle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, I was just gonna say I liked how Eddie Howe set that whole corner tactic up. Obviously, yes, because they get the goal from it, but I think more so the belief it sort of instilled in the players and it instilled in the fans that we've come here with a plan to do stuff and do stuff. And when Liverpool go 30 minutes or whatever it is without a shot, and you start to think that maybe this could be our day.
Yeah. 100%.
You know? But the timing of the goal, I think, was the most important thing. I think that was what I know Isak got the winner, but essentially won it for Newcastle. Was going in 1-0 up and not wasting a good half of football. And, you know.
And it's a great header.
It's a phenomenal bounce before the keeper, Kelleher. Yeah. What do you think of...
It was the second best header of the weekend.
What do you think of starting Kelleher ahead of Alisson? And I don't honestly, to say, I don't think Kelleher made a mistake in the game. I think all the goals any keeper could have conceded, but just we've spoken about sort of messages you're transmitting to the team through the tactics and how you set things up. When you don't play your starting keeper, does that also send another message to the team?
Yeah, look, I agree with you because I don't think Alisson saves either of them. Right? But there is a sort of like, if Van Dijk and Konate know that it's Alisson behind them, but that's not something I really will get onto Slot for too much because that's been his cup goalkeeper and whatnot.
Yeah. It's also probably Kelleher's last season, I think, as a backup.
Yeah,
they've got Matt that's really coming in.
And to be honest, whenever Kelleher has played,
he's played very well.
So,
as I say, it's not to blame Kelleher. It's just
it's not like a Karius thing.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
But yeah, look, you mentioned Isak. Obviously, scored the winning goal. I don't even want to think about what Isak's price tag might be like. But if you ever needed more proof, Isak's now been in one final and one goal.
Well, 2 finals, no? He played 2 years ago.
Did he play in that one?
Yeah, he must have.
Okay. So 2 finals, 1 goal.
Yeah. I mean, the conversation now for Isak is almost unanimous that he's sort of a world-class talent or sort of top player, all that kind of stuff.
For all the teams trying to sign a striker.
Yeah, I think the conversation now is getting interesting in terms of like people are coming out saying that he's the best striker in the world, full stop. You know?
Where do you stand on that?
I don't know if he's quite yet the best striker in the world, full stop.
Yeah.
But I think he is definitely, like, I don't know if you could really name 3 more impressive strikers in the game right now.
Is he the best in the Prem?
Yeah. I'd give Isak the best in the Prem credence, and I think more so, and this is just me, I like the Jogo Bonito of it all. I do like the Jogo Bonito. Isak's got a jinky me jinky. He's got a shimmy. He's got
link up.
He's got link up play. He's got stuff to add beyond just his goals.
Yeah,
but he has that, and then his catalogue of finishes is almost equally as impressive as Haaland's or whoever else you think is getting numbers. And is a good striker. Because as much as I respect Haaland and what Haaland's done, and if somebody was to tell me that Haaland's the best striker in the Prem, I wouldn't argue like tooth and nail to prove them wrong. I just think that I enjoy the stuff that Isak does more than the maybe 10 extra goals that Haaland will get just for being Haaland in the box.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he probably is the best striker in the league. But that's always a bit of a difficult one to say because it's like, it's sometimes like, I feel like we're like, oh yeah, Haaland scores goals.
That's
it.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, that's all anyone wants their striker to do.
I completely agree. That's all you want your strikers to do. And Haaland, like, can stretch defenses. He doesn't need to that much at City because of the whole possession-based thing. But
I think that's a Pep thing.
Yeah, there's more to Haaland's game than just the goal scoring. But in terms of what Isak has given us over a 3-season period, and Haaland has won it all over these past 3 seasons, but Isak has consistently scored all sorts of goals. for Newcastle.
I think most people would say that they'd rather pay to watch Isak.
Do you remember that assist the other season when he dribbled like half the players on the pitch down the byline? Was it Brighton or someone? You know, that kind of stuff for me.
Jacob Murphy tapping.
That kind of stuff for me is like worth its weight in gold.
In
terms of a football player. Like, I love guys that have more than just one thing in their game, and that's not necessarily pigeonholing Haaland, but just to give praise to
100%
to Isak, man. I think he's top, and I do think that some of the stuff holding me back from saying he's the best in the world, full stop, is one, yes, can he do it for a bigger club than Newcastle, with all due respect? Like, I need to see Isak on Champions League nights. I'd love him to come to Arsenal and stuff, but almost for any team, I'd need to see Isak on Champions League nights. I need to see Isak versus the big
Real Madrid.
like versus, and not even just Real Madrid, but like in a top 4 race. And I know Newcastle are in the top 4 race and have been in top 4 races for the past couple of seasons, but like in a position where it's like, oh, that goal right there, that's what gets you top 4, or that's the difference between top 4 and top 2 and that kind of stuff. I feel like with Isak now, he's playing for the Carabao and a top 8 finish, when the stakes are like, if you miss this chance, we don't get Champions League football. And I don't think he's going to miss them. But I just want to see him in those positions more, where we've seen strikers where it's like, okay. You know,
I agree.
When the stakes are that high and Champions League football's on the line and you've buried that one,
I think Champions League is the big one. Because I and you said that you don't think Isak will miss those chances, but just for Isak's thing, if like you say, if we're gonna call him the best in the world, even the best in the league, potentially, because Haaland's been there and done that and whatever.
Chris Wood now.
We need to see.
This 2 seasons of back-to-back. What season?
Look, I will talk. I'll say my piece on Forest, right? Because I've come to a realization over the weekend, but we'll get onto that. Eddie Howe, I think, deserves a mention. Because 2 years ago he obviously got to the final. And they lost. They played Liverpool in the league a couple of weeks ago, and Isak missed out. And Eddie Howe said after the final that he held some things back in the league game to not show his hand, and to kind of do certain things differently. And I think that's a good thing.
That is a good thing,
right? I'm like, as much as you've sacrificed 3 points there, right, and you've let Liverpool have that and whatever,
they're not going to win the league.
Exactly, right? And Newcastle aren't. We know how much everybody chalks up top 4 and whatever. Newcastle will have their opportunity to get top 4. And I think Eddie Howe's well aware that if they don't get top 4, it's not going to be because they didn't win at Anfield. But he's obviously had an eye on this game and thought, if I go with what I'm going to go with in this game at Anfield here, then it's going to look a bit different, and Onslaught's going to be wise to it and whatever. I was glad he kept Joe Linton in midfield. I thought he was going to put Joe Linton on the left and maybe bench Harvey Barnes and bring Willock in. But I'm glad he kept Joe Linton in midfield. But I think Eddie Howe deserves a lot of praise. I mean, Newcastle fans are saying that he should have a statue.
If I was a Newcastle fan, I might be saying that. If I was objectively, it's close, but maybe no cigar. I've had some choice words to say about Eddie Howe.
You have?
Over the past couple of years. And I can't lie, Eddie Howe has really gained my respect. And not just for winning the trophy, and obviously that's a big part of it, but just in terms of like, we might need the one-on-one doc with Eddie Howe. We might need the behind-the-scenes Newcastle. He looks very meticulous. He looks very.
He is for sure.
He looks very like, I'm a student of the game. I'm looking at everybody's approach. Simeone, Pep, all of these guys. How can I take and
he spoke about when he had that time out of football, innit? After I think Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And he basically kind of went all around the world
to learn more,
studying different sports as well.
Like
different sports coaches do that.
I like that one from a manager.
Yeah.
I like,
but like Mikel do that one.
Yeah, he even spoke about after the game. He was like, for once, I might put down the coaching books and the coaching techniques and all this kind of stuff, and that's rare for me. I like to do my readings, and it's not that I never thought he was this manager. I just never thought that he was as much of a student of the game as he seems to be now, or appears to be now. So I want to give him his respect for that. And just on this, like to what you've spoken about, hiding some things in the league game to then hopefully have an advantage in the cup game. That's spot on, man. I mean, you heard it all: 70 years, 50 years without a goal at Wembley, whatever. It's going to be worth more to the Newcastle fans than 3 points.
Yep.
At home to Liverpool, you know. So for Eddie Howe to get this out of his team, for Eddie Howe to go to 2 finals in 2 years or 3 years, 2 finals in 3 years type stuff. One of those seasons he finished in the top 4. He's beating PSG and these kind of teams at home.
Champions League football.
Yeah, and taking big scalps.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, it definitely can't go underappreciated. It is definitely a very impressive achievement. He's not spending as much money as everybody else. They've got good quality players, don't get me wrong, but like he is kind of still working with what he has. I'm still seeing Longstaff and guys come on. I'm still seeing
even Joelinton.
Yeah, exactly. He's had to change that whole position.
Centre midfield.
Yeah, he's been smart. Lewis Hall and stuff. Like he could have gone for Tierney. He could have gone for some other left backs. He's been smart. Livramento,
who I think deserves a mention.
Yeah, he's a very, very, very good player. Even the whole Trippier thing, like he's managed that very well.
Yeah.
You know, Botman's been out for a long time. We thought it was going to be Sharon Botman forever, and it's kind of like, you know,
Big Dan Burn.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know,
Tonali, good business.
Good business. I think Eddie Howe definitely deserves his respect, and I think it's a testament, man, to like the rest of these other clubs of what Eddie Howe has done. Like if you're a Villa, if you're a Bournemouth, if you're a whoever type club and you're also waiting to break this 50, 60, 70 year drought.
He's just dropped the blueprint.
He's just dropped the blueprint. And to a T. To literally to a T, he's dropped the blueprint. And
all those clubs that have, it's been however long, I think Villa, maybe it's been 30 years or whatever. Newcastle have just shown you here, like, if you take these cups seriously.
Marco Silva, Fulham.
Yeah. Like, if Man City don't win the FA Cup, I think whoever wins that is going to be someone who hasn't won a trophy for a while.
Yeah.
But Newcastle, by doing this here now, they've shown all those other clubs that, you know, if you take these cup competitions seriously, there's a real way that you can get to the final and you can actually make something happen.
The run that Newcastle have been on to get to the final, they beat City, they beat us, they beat Liverpool,
Chelsea.
They beat Chelsea, you know. And I was also going to say, it's not even like the way clubs look at projects. It feels as if like it was Liverpool under Klopp. That's what a project is like. Klopp didn't win the league until his 4th year, and like every other goated managers won the league within 2 years. You know, and then Arsenal started to get the project praise. What Arteta's done with Arsenal 4 years on, all this kind of stuff. Like there is the intermediaries like Newcastle. The project that Eddie Howe's done in terms of literally just a project, who he's had to take out, who he's had to bring in, how he's had to keep sort of a core audience or core group of players together and fit and stuff. Like, if you're a Villa, if you're a Bournemouth, if you're a Fulham, your project doesn't necessarily need to culminate in top 4 finishes or league trophies for it to be a successful project.
Yeah.
Bro, if you break that trophy drought, that's a successful project. If it takes you 3 years, if it takes Fulham 3 years to win a Carabao or an FA Cup, Fulham fans, they would love the day at the Newcastle. I'm sure Newcastle fans are still
how many
drunk.
of them were crying.
Yeah,
like
I'm
how much it means.
I'm sure Newcastle fans still haven't turned up to work. I'm sure Newcastle fans still can't believe 3 days. They watch. You know how, as an Arsenal fan, I know for sure. Like when you have a big win, you try and exhaust almost every content. I'm sure Newcastle fans have they've watched every behind the scenes. They've watched every like.
They've got a parade next week as well.
Yo, come on, man.
But
come on.
We can't. And we will talk on Liverpool, but we can't leave the Newcastle section without talking about Joelinton.
I was gonna say,
because what Joelinton does to Harvey Elliott at the end of the game is GBH. It's assault. It's grievous bodily harm. It's criminal. It should be punished. I cannot believe that wasn't a red card. I don't know
anything.
What sport Joelinton's playing.
I also think
guys don't take each other down in UFC like that.
Yeah, NFL that's not allowed.
Yeah,
that's hands to the face. That's immediate. That's a 10-yard penalty.
And what did Gary Neville say about it?
He was like non-violent.
Yeah,
like, cynical, but it's non-violent. I was like, bro,
GBH.
there's no difference when that happened.
Yeah. What is that? Harvey Elliott's flown through the
I also
air.
think, and this is a side note, but I also think that the refereeing and stuff is crazy because the threshold is either violent red card or nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing for that. Like if Joe Linton at least gets a yellow, we know he can't do that again.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a side point. But where I do give Joe Linton his respect is, bro, Joe Linton is the great equalizer. Whoever you think is the biggest threats on the opposition team, just put Joe Linton in the vicinity.
Yeah.
Just put Joe Linton in and around him, and
he's Denzel.
yeah. Well, I do know. I'm gonna say I don't know how Joe Linton does it. I do know how Joe Linton does it. He just works harder than you. He's just gonna be stronger. He's gonna fight for that jewel more. He's gonna want it more than you. And if you do get the best of him, he'll just bring you down. He'll just foul you, and then ref won't give him a yellow, or ref won't say anything.
Similar to what we say about Gabriel. I think Joe Linton was born in the northeast.
Yeah.
I think he was born there.
Yeah, I told you. He's 38th minute. It's 0-0 still.
Yeah,
bro,
it's a Liverpool throw-in.
So sick. That's what
Pumping up the crowd. Bruno G does that as well, but Joe Linton's one is just, he looks like the veins about to burst in his neck.
I honestly, and he's a big reason why I'm expecting big things from Brazil in 2026. I know, obviously,
Brazil can't pick Joe Linton. And in terms of start, Joe Linton.
No, not start. Joe Linton's not a starter for Brazil. There's so many guys.
Yoga Bonito.
They
would like to play the nice game.
I'm shocked Brazil have been going to Copa Americas without Joe Linton.
I'm not shocked.
Uruguay and Argentina and all these guys who...
Yeah, but Brazil aren't meant to be that, bro.
They're meant to be the Joga Bonito.
You know what I'm saying?
No, but it's time to fight fire with fire.
Joe Linton's playing centre midfield for Brazil.
Joe Linton should not be starting for Brazil, but Joe Linton should be in every Brazilian tournament squad from 2 seasons ago up until he ends his career, because Brazil have the great equalizer. Whoever you think is the dog of the opposition team, Joe Linton, just give him 10 minutes, bro. Just give him 10 minutes.
Brazil have too many.
His versatility as well, I think, is underappreciated. Like, yes, he's transitioned from a striker into a midfielder, but how he's used is sometimes as a left back, sometimes as a left wing back, sometimes as he plays in every position almost at times on the pitch. Yeah,
that's what he was doing on Sunday. I didn't know where he was playing.
Eddie Howe's just got him on there.
But I do think so much of the Joe Linton thing has got to be Eddie Howe.
Yeah. 100%.
This player was nothing
100%
like this 100%. Eddie Howe.
And I want to give a shout out to Tonali as well, man. Lungs, bro. Between the two of them, you have like 6 pairs of lungs. Like, you have guys that can
Remember
run.
I said I think he might be the most.
Yeah, he did. I know. I give you the credit for that. You put me on.
Yo, it's not easy to leave Van Dijk on the floor.
Yeah, and that's a late burst.
I don't see anyone do that.
That's a late burst.
98th minute.
Tonali
drive.
He's not real. And I also respect Eddie Howe for the like Brazilian Italian influence and the ability to keep them happy, and like doesn't seem like too many of them are looking elsewhere or complaining.
And for clocking fairly early, because remember Newcastle were in a poor run of form, and it was Tonali was playing. Poor, and for Eddie Howe clocking that early and being like maybe a slight tweak here, change that so that Tonali's the deepest man. You let Bruno G have a bit more freedom and stuff. It's just good management, and like you say, like I'm quite happy for Eddie Howe. Like
I am. I'm quite happy for Newcastle. I don't necessarily like love Newcastle or anything like that. Like, obviously there's been a lot of bad blood between Arsenal and Newcastle for the past couple of years, but I don't know, first trophy in 70 years, I'm not mad at it. That's all I'll say. I'm not like kissing my teeth. I'm not wishing the worst for them. Like,
and from a fan perspective, when you see how much it means to them, like, fair enough.
Did you see that clip of I don't know if these like 2 old maybe Newcastle legends, and they were talking about being buried in the Newcastle end when they scored the winning goal, and Alan Shearer's like, I agree, you should. I was dying.
Well, so look, congratulations to Newcastle, you deserve it. And on the Liverpool side of things now, tough week.
As tough as they get sometimes. As tough as they get, really.
Slot machine jarred.
Slot machine jarred.
Apparently. cooked by PSG over 2 legs. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
They've gone and lost to Newcastle in a cup final now. And it's not like a slot slander thing or anything. He'll leave with the Premier League in his first season. Fair play. But from what looked like Liverpool fans thinking that it could be a bit of an all-timer and we'll go and pick up a couple of these. They just, I mean, Jamie Carragher said that might be the worst performance he's ever seen from a Liverpool team in a final.
It was bad, but the first half for sure was like left a lot to be asked for. But in terms of the week itself, I think it's fitting. It's fitting because, and as you say, it's not a slot like slander fest. It's not like Slot's all of a sudden a bad manager or he's been found out. Or
I didn't know what he was doing with his substitution.
Or X, Y, and but it for me, it showed that I can't even say he's been getting away with it because he hasn't been. The results have proven that he hasn't been. But the squad usage and rotation thing that Slot had going on finally caught up with him.
Yeah.
Because
they look knackered, didn't it?
They looked knackered. Everybody was tired. We've seen the tweets now. Liverpool fans talking about Jota, Nunez, and whoever else it is have 9 goals or 3 goals.
The Jota stuff is good because, and we respect that Jota can score goals.
We do,
yeah, both of us. But his game is horrible.
Yeah.
He's anti-football.
Yeah.
He's everything that nobody wants to see.
But Slot should, and it's easy to say this now after the week that they've had, but there should have been a bit more trust in Harvey Elliott and a couple of
I think Harvey Elliott did well when he came on.
Yeah, a couple of these. I mean, Harvey Elliott scored the only goal in the PSG game for them, in the PSG tie for them.
Yeah.
3 minutes left. I'm just gonna come on and bag this one type stuff. Like, has he not tried to show or proven himself to have a bit more quality than Diaz in the last couple of months? Could you not try to? Could you not have tried to have got him in? And I'm not saying start him, and he should have been starting games. But could he have got a 30-minute cameo? Could he have got 45 minutes here? Could he have got maybe a game here? Like, so when you came down to situations like this where you've just played 120 minutes versus PSG and you've got a cup final on the weekend, either he plays one of the 2 of the games or he plays a half of the game, or players can rest. I think it was tough for the guys who did do 120 minutes versus PSG to then do the Newcastle thing.
Yeah.
No rotation, no everything. Just keep it the same. And so as I say, it's not here to Slot will learn these things, innit? Like, you're gonna have to use your whole squad. Arteta has had to learn that over time as well. Every other manager's had to learn that over time as well. Like, everyone is important. Everyone who's here, even the guy who's only gonna get 5 minutes at the end of games, he needs to be on it for me to win everything or to win the big trophies. And I think my biggest sort of takeaway from Liverpool's week is sort of just how good Pep is. Like,
elaborate.
Like, Pep makes the whole double treble thing look easy, and I get it because he's got huge funds and he's been able to buy some of the best players in the world and stuff. But Pep's rotation,
but that will help you win one.
Exactly. Like Pep's use of rotations and Gvardiol and Ake and
Cancelo.
Stones will play this game.
Don't forget Cancelo.
Like, Pep, we criticize Pep. We hate it as an FPL man. Oh, can't believe it. How many times I tell you last season? Stones starts midweek Champions League game, keeps a clean sheet. Fantastic game from Stones. I bring Stones in. Stones, you're surely going to get this Premier League. No Stones. Stones is
guys did that with Marmoush recently. Marmoush started 4 games in a row. Everyone thought Marmoush is in the team. Now Marmoush benched.
So it does come down to your players need minutes in their legs to be able to provide for you, and you throughout the entire season, and not just at crunch time, need to rotate players, but throughout the entire season, you need to make sure that everybody feels as if they're included and have a part to play. And I'm not saying that Elliot and these guys don't feel this way, but it's just that. Even Curtis Jones, for example, who I don't rate and I think is meaty, but when he comes on, it's crisis situations. The only time Curtis Jones ever gets minutes, it seems to be like crisis time. We need a goal. We need this. We need that. We need something. Change. Somebody's on a yellow.
Arteta's got that from Pep because of the Kiwior treatment. Kiwior, I have no doubt, is made to feel like we need you. Like, at some point, you're going to have 4 or 5 games.
You're going to do everything for us,
We need you for those 4 or 5 games to be your absolute best. And it's that whole thing you're saying of making everyone in the squad. And for Harvey Elliott, when he came on in that final, I think he played 3 passes maybe that were like defense splitting passes. He gets the assist for Kiesa's actual goal. It's like that looked like something that Liverpool have been missing since. Like, obviously, like you say, they've been winning games, and we'll touch on this because as much as we can't really say that Arne Slot's been bailed out and whatever, there's a part of me that does feel like
some of him has been built out
because of the season Salah's had.
Yeah.
And now when Salah's not bagging, it's a bit eye-opening, and people start to question things. And I hear the argument that Salah in 2 legs against PSG, Nuno Mendes had him in a
CIA black side. He's off the books.
Yeah. And then Livramento lock-up job.
Yeah.
And I hear the argument that, well, Salah's been on crud all season. Like,
someone else step up.
Should be able to step up. And I hear that argument, agreed. But if you want to put Salah in Balon d'Or conversations,
Thierry conversations,
yeah, Liverpool fans want to say he's the best player in Premier League history. He's above Ronaldo. He's above this, that, and the third. Then you also need to Balon d'Or stuff is turning up in the biggest games.
Yeah, literally,
right, making the biggest difference. And these 2-legged 180 minutes versus PSG in a cup final here, and Salah hasn't turned up. So, cool, Salah's turned up in all the other games, and we're not taking that away from him. But if you want him to be a Balon d'Or winner, if you want him to be the best player in Premier League history, he kind of needs to turn up in these moments.
And I think outside of a Messi Ronaldo thing, leave those two to like a different realm.
Yeah.
Everybody else, and I would also exclude Luka Modric, but maybe include him as well. Everybody else who has won a Balon d'Or over the last couple of years has done that, though.
Yeah.
Benzema when he won it, Lewandowski when he was cheated out of it, all of that kind of stuff. They were bagging in every game.
Modric balled for Croatia.
He did exactly.
Semi-finals, quarterfinals.
So it's one of those things where it's like, it's not that we're putting unrealistic expectations of Salah to be Ronaldo or Salah to be Messi, because I do agree that those guys were nuts, but everybody else who's also won it has also turned up in every big game.
Yeah.
It has also led this team to the trophies. Has also sort of put their name on it. So it's like, not just to compare him to the GOATs, just to compare him to maybe the other Ballon d'Or contemporaries. I feel like these are the ties that literally define your Ballon d'Or run, bro. If you grab that goal, and Salah's already got the jing bang of it all, because no one, I think, is really going into games expecting Salah to perform well. You know? They're just expecting him to score.
Well, they expect him to perform well because they expect him to score or assist. That's how it's coming.
But that's together. My point. That's exactly. It comes together for a lot of people because they see him as the goal and assist guy.
Yeah.
So it's not like.
And if you do that, you had a good game.
Salah could have got out of the CIA black site with a pen.
Exactly. 100%.
And guys would have said that he's done it again, yet again. You know, that type of stuff. So he's kind of got away with it on one where he doesn't even need to do the Jogo Bonito, Benzema drop, be the 9, be the 10, play, do it all type thing. He just needs to score a goal, get an assist, and
his record in finals, which
is
spooky. Around one non-penalty goal in finals, and guys will bring up Henry and whatever, and Henry's record, but from what I hear about people who were alive at the time, Henry played well in those finals.
I look, the Henry Salah thing, it for me just comes back to the same Isak thing of like, Henry just did everything. He was, quote, for me, a footballer. Hold up play, wing play, striker play, and also 10 play, camp, whatever you needed, he did that.
If you're talking Premier League players, similar to what you said about Ronaldo and Messi, I think Ronaldo and Henry are
set
in their own.
I would even have Rooney, man. I don't know why guys put Salah in their team.
No, I don't know if Rooney's in that realm. I think Ronaldo and Henry.
I think Ronaldo and Henry are in a different realm, but I think Rooney's in that realm as well of being like an all-rounded footballer who hit levels, and not just for 1 season, 2 seasons, for several
But then there's a certain kind of like stigma and kind of. I don't want to say aura, but like personality, and that like Cristiano and Thierry, when you hear ex-pros talk about them,
those are like goats of the game, literal legends of the game. Like if anybody told me Thierry was their favorite player, or best player of all time, I'll never argue. If anybody told me Ronaldo was the best player
I think
of all
almost
time,
everybody says that Thierry's
the Prem's best player.
Ex-players,
yeah,
the
yeah.
best player to play in
No,
the Premier League.
I agree with all of that. I would also give Rooney like the third place trophy for that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
but
not mad at that.
just on the whole sort of Liverpool Salah thing, I think it's been the toughest week for him, man. Like I think part of Salah, not a huge part of Salah, loves Liverpool, owes like the accolades that he has to Liverpool and all the praise and stuff that he does get to Liverpool. But I think a part of him this week saw that this club might never break into the stratosphere that I needed to break into. I needed to break into the Barca or Real Madrid stratosphere, the old Man United stratosphere, where it's like we're gonna win all the trophies and I'm gonna get all the individual awards because
Pep Man City.
Yeah, the Pep stratosphere, where it's like they're like inevitable, bigger than the game, gonna win the biggest trophies. You're always gonna be there at the very end of things to decide things. Us Arsenal fans talking about the Real Madrid tie, like it's impossible. It feels impossible to win the Champions League without playing Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, or like
unless you just get mad lucky.
Yeah, unless you just get mad lucky. But even the winners of the past couple, the teams that have got to the finals for the past couple of years have all lost who haven't played Madrid.
Yeah. Even when City won it,
exactly,
they had to beat Madrid.
You know, exactly, and that's why we respect that treble. That's a certified treble. You know,
it's a treble.
Yeah, but I just feel as if Salah this week has seen that like Liverpool are a big club, massive club, great club, historic club, all the above, but you're in there with some other great big historic clubs, PSG and all these Newcastle, all these other kind of guys. Whereas I think for where he wants to be, the Balon d'Or stuff and all that kind of stuff, he's seeing the ceiling that Liverpool have as opposed to the ceiling. Like I think would kill him if Real Madrid win the Champions League and Mbappe is just going to get the Balon d'Or because he's ended up getting 30-something goals, 40-something goals at Madrid, and it's not even been the best Mbappe season is my point. And this, I think, has been the best Salah season, even beyond the goal-scoring record season he had a couple years ago. I think this season has been more impressive from Salah. Yeah. So I think for Mbappe to see Madrid for Salah to see Mbappe, I can't say limp to a Balon d'Or because it wouldn't be that, but to like have maybe not his best season ever and beat Mbappe's best season ever.
Yeah.
You know, beat Salah's best season ever to a Ballon d'Or. I think it gets tough, and you've seen all the stuff about the pen with Nunes and his mentality and all of this kind of stuff. I feel like it's been really like
it becomes like Salah can't do any more, so it becomes abundantly obvious that it's a club problem. Right? For all we want to say about Liverpool, like, and I said this the other day, like nobody should compare anything that Madrid do with anything that their club does.
Yeah, I agree.
But for you, do you think he's done now, Balon d'Or? Or do you think he still I think
he's still got a chance, but I think it is hanging on by a thread. I really do. As I said to you before, I think a team needs to win the Champions League without a clear Ballon d'Or favourite. So that means no PSG, no Bayern Munich, no Real Madrid.
Even if PSG win it, they might have a clear favourite.
That's my point. So it needs to be no PSG.
Yeah, okay,
no Bayern Munich, no Real Madrid,
no Inter.
No Inter, because Lautaro, no Barcelona.
Yeah.
So it needs to be us. It needs to be
Villa.
It needs to be Dortmund. Like, you know, because I feel like if any one of those teams gets it, they'll look at what X player has done in the league.
Those are the only three, isn't it?
Yeah. You'll be like, what has X player done in the league? And they've scored 30 as well. They've also they've also done this. They've also done that. They've also got their also domestic cup or whatever, you know. So that's why I think he's hanging on by a thread. Like, I don't know if the Prem by itself is enough in a record-breaking year. He like, the reason I still give him a chance is because he can get like 30 goals and 20 assists. Legit in a Prem winning season, which in my mind should be enough because I rate the Prem more than the other leagues. But as I say, if Mbappe gets it, if Real Madrid get it, or if PSG get it, or if buy and get it. I feel like it's tough to overlook Kane. It's tough to overlook Mbappe. It's tough to overlook Dembele.
And even if it's a case of Salah's won his domestic league, regardless of whether the English league is
The best
the
or not,
best
yeah.
league or whatever, that will then mean that like how many other people have also won their domestic
Exactly,
league,
exactly.
So
And
Mbappe's bagged his goals and won his domestic league, or your Rafinha has bagged
like
his goals and
Salah's 30-20 in the Prem, to us who watch English football week in, week out and stuff, is super impressive, record-breaking stuff. But what happens if Mbappe gets like a 40-10 in La Liga debut season, wins it for Real Madrid in a 3-horse race versus Atletico and Barca that comes down to the final couple of weeks? Like, does that, we have the Prem on a pedigree, does that, the other voters have that sort of thing on a pedigree?
And I feel like the
Prem's
Balon D'Or's
wrapped up.
a bit tapped in that sense of like, if a Madrid player can win it, the voters want the Los Blancos Galactico to go.
I think the same thing for Barcelona. I think if Barca, if Barca win it, Lamine, Rafinha,
agree.
Like they could all be there ahead of Salah. They would want to crown one of those two guys as the next guy of football.
Yeah. 100%.
Like what football represents. And as a fan, we had that Balon d'Or discussion when Rodri won it. If Rafinha or Lamine Yamal win it, I can't have any football's won. Like football's back on top, and Dejan Bonito's back on top, and all of this kind of stuff. So I think it's hanging on by a thread. I'm not going to quite say it's done, but it's hanging on a thread because he needs an unlikely hero to win the Champions League.
Yeah, agreed. And even then, like,
is that enough? Yeah.
If potentially, if it is Arsenal, maybe a Declan Rice gets pushed into the conversation.
What's he's done over the last couple of years?
And for either any of those teams, if either like Villa, Dortmund, or Arsenal go on to win it, whoever of those players has kind of like
done it,
turned up in those moments, like
Asensio's
on a tear. But look, if Saka comes back and Saka scores big goals and he takes us through rounds and he like kicks on next season and whatever,
yeah.
You never know. But look, we'll move it on because there were some Premier League games this weekend, and we're only going to talk about two of them because Man United beat Leicester.
Is it worth talking about it?
Credit to Man United. Ruben Nistelrooy might be worse than Russell Martin and all of those guys that we were slagging off last year and this year. Bournemouth lost. Brentford got a good win. But the two games we're going to talk about, firstly, Fulham versus Tottenham. And of course, we were going to talk about this one. Ryan Sessegnon dunk sesh on his old club. I couldn't believe it when I saw the goal.
I was screaming. I was screaming real time.
I would have been off my couch.
I was calling, come on, look at this. I was calling everybody downstairs.
Right foot, the way he's bent that into the top corner.
It's as soon as like Davies lets the ball bounce, and Davies at some point looks like he has him.
Yeah.
And then, no, he doesn't have him.
He spun in one way, and then he spun the other way, and then Davies just bullied Sessegnon. I don't know how he's looped that over Macario.
Weak foot.
Yeah, unbelievable. The guy that Tottenham, I think, signed for 20 million, and they let him go for free. Back to Fulham. But Tottenham, I saw their starting lineup: Archie Gray, Bissouma, and Bentancur starting him. I don't know what kind of midfield that is. I don't know who's playing.
Who partnered Romero? Was it Danso?
Ben Davies.
Oh, Ben Davies, sorry. Yeah. Danso's injured.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, bro.
And Van der Ven seems to be kept back for international duty. But Tottenham, 15 games they've lost this season.
No, the Tottenham record, I saw it was like 10 wins, couple draws, and 15 losses.
And they still have to go to Stamford Bridge and Anfield.
I am staggered, bro, by 15 losses. Not just that at this stage of the season do Tottenham have more losses than wins. They considerably have more losses than wins. They need to win 5 games in a row just to match their losses.
And there's only 9 games left. They have to win 5.
I mean, as you said, Stamford Bridge and Anfield.
Yeah.
So it's like scary hours for Tottenham, and it's worse because I think if Ange had swapped his seasons around, if Ange had finished 15th last year after losing Kane, Tottenham fans would have accepted that. They knew they were going to be a shit. You know,
they're
okay,
more accepting for sure.
More accepting is the right word. But the fact that Ange already showed what he, I guess you could say, is capable of, then just to be given money and finances and time, only to end up
so much.
I think that's what's like super damning about Tottenham's story this season and Ange's story this season is like, I wish I could just blame it's because we've lost Harry Kane and our top goal scorer, and we've had a couple of injuries at the back and stuff, and all of that's going on. But players are back fit now.
And you said if Ange gets his players back,
but I said that knowing that Ange was going to lose games with his players back. I genuinely, I think the reason that they're 15th, yes, can be down to injuries, but I think the reason that they're having a terrible season is not because of injuries. You know, like I think Tottenham would have still been way off where they wanted to be. I don't think they were as good as a Bournemouth or a Brighton or whoever, even with a fully fit squad. We saw them lose to both of those teams with fully fit squads.
Yeah.
You know, so
Brighton definitely.
But like I just think that with Ange and with Tottenham that it is going to be an amicable quote unquote end of the season. We're going to need to take this in a different direction. I can't imagine Tottenham fans and players and squad and board members going into 25, 26 with Ange not knowing. I think it's even tough next season to set a goal or a target or a standard. Like, can Tottenham now go from 15th to a 6th place finish? What would they have to spend, or 13th?
Yeah.
What would they have to spend in the summer to feel like 6th is our target? Sort of like not guaranteed, but like yes, 6th place. You know, they feel a bit so far behind in my opinion. So I feel like it's tough if you get a new manager and you can expect different results and all this kind of stuff. But I think to expect Ange to turn it around and get 6th place is tough, just because I feel like now there's so much like mud in the swamp.
Yeah. Well, you see him beefing fans.
Beefing fans beefing players.
Mattis tells the liaison officer.
Anybody, Romero and all those guys who might have 2 years left on their deal, surely can't sign a new deal with Ange at the helm. You know?
Yeah. And everything's on the Europa League for Ange now.
Yeah.
They've got Frankfurt in the next game, which I think will be a tough game. But look, if he wins that, he's obviously going to stay. But I can't see him winning that. So I think Tottenham will part ways at the end of the season.
Even if they get past, exactly. I can't see them winning the whole tournament. Even if they get past Frankfurt, I don't see them winning the whole tournament. And I would still be so shocked if... I think it'll be tough for fans, like first and foremost, to get behind a whole summer of Ange signings to then go into a season. I don't know.
You can't back the manager that's been your worst ever manager.
Like Tottenham fans are literally saying he's as bad as it's ever been.
Yeah,
like he's as bad as...
They're bringing up the stats and
all of them.
And Ange is coming out and he's saying if a plumber's done his degree and he's got all of his qualifications, then it's not right to tell him that he doesn't know what he's doing. That doesn't make sense to me.
I saw Tottenham fans saying is like, if football was a game that was won with words, Ange would walk to the league. Ange would walk to the league. But because football was other managers figuring out how their 11 players can be your 11 players, we're in 15th.
Yeah.
You know?
And look, testament to that point, Marco Silva and Fulham now 4 points off the top 4.
Yeah. When you said that to me, it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that all those teams in there,
it's razor
hardly
thin.
Any points between them. But the Fulham one is crazy to me because, and we joked about Brighton a bit there, but Brighton, especially in forward areas, have some very, very good players.
Yeah, they do.
Right? It's crazy to me because I don't actually think that any of Fulham's attacking players are that good.
I think
Muniz
is all right.
I just don't know how Marco Silva's getting 9 goals from Muniz.
Yeah. And I
don't know how he's getting double figures from Jimenez. I don't think Smith Rowe's that great. Williams come back.
Muniz was like such a slow starter this season. We knew the Muniz drop off was coming. He couldn't have done what he did last year. But somehow that he's probably going to end up the season again with double figures.
He's not even a starter.
It's a testament. I think it's interesting for the Brighton-Fulham comparison because I think Brighton will have like 6 guys on 4 or 5 goals.
Whereas Fulham, they've got 2 of their strikers to get double figures.
Yeah.
And it's so like that says
yeah. And
Fulham
the rest of them kind of picking up the scraps,
Fulham engineer the attacks for these 2.
Yeah.
Or for this chance that what this one striker can take. Whereas Brighton engineer all their chances. Let's give go, share.
Again, where I think the management comes into it from Marco Silva, because Fabian Herzler can engineer his chances for 5 or 6 different players.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it will be. I don't think it will be like a great attacking player. I don't think it will. Andreas Pereira drops deeper, and Harry Wilson's picking up the slack. But Marco Silva's almost just like, I actually can't believe that Fulham are where they are in a sense.
I hear what you're saying. I think.
Because I like Brighton, Villa, Bournemouth. When you look at Kluivert, Sessegnon, Evan Nilsson, and of course Iriola, Herzler, like, we'll talk highly of them. We have done previously, but I think those players, just on a quality level, are just like, is Jimenez and Muniz really?
It comes down to coaching, because I know what Jimenez goal looks like. I know what a Muniz goal looks like. Like, if I was to not watch the game,
they're not really scoring other than Sessegnon, they're not really scoring X Factor goals.
If I was to not watch the game and saw that Fulham were up one goal Muniz and 1 goal Raul Jimenez, I would sort of know what their goal looks like. However, if Brighton were up and it was Rutter or Matoma or Welbeck or João Pedro, I'm like, this could be any sort of goal. You know, and that comes down to the coaching.
Also the quality.
And the quality of the players, for sure. Well, why Fulham are where they are is because Marco Silva is such a good coach. He's got all of the 24-man squad to engineer chances for this one prototype striker.
Yeah.
If you do this, and you defend solidly, and like we're saying that like it's easy, but if you're solidly, solid
they're
defensively,
one of the best defensive teams in the league.
If you're solid defensively and you don't give much away, and you have the ability to stay in games by 1 goal margin or less, you know what I'm saying, keep it even, then when we fashion this chance for our one striker, points on the board.
Agreed.
You know, so I agree with you. I can't believe that they're there, but the only reason that they're there is because Marco Silva, he looks at, I can't even say through a prism, but he looks at football through with the players that he currently has.
Yeah.
If I do this, this equals points.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
We said that about Smith Rowe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That like Marco Silva knows that there are Smith Rowe games. There are no Smith Rowe games.
Lukic.
Yeah. Andreas Pereira move up 1, Lukic come in. Like, he knows how to get, like, Willian coming back. He's telling Willian exactly what he's been telling Willian of like, and the shot that we see Willian take is the shot Willian wants to take.
Exactly. That's the Willian goal.
Exactly. He puts players in positions that they're comfortable in.
Yeah. And look, Marco Silva is a savant of the English. Maybe savant strong, but he's done it for the English game. He's been at Watford. He's been at Fulham. He's been in the Championship and all this kind of stuff. Everton as well. So it's not like he's figuring out the league. He knows what type of football gets points in this country.
Yeah.
But having said that, it is still incredibly impressive. Because I agree with you. Brighton have more quality
even you
players.
go as far as Brentford.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look at Mbeumo, Wissa, and Sharda.
Yeah.
And mainly Mbeumo and Wissa, yeah. I think but even Kevin Sharda, I think that's a serious attacking threat.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. I just look at Fulham attacking players, and we say this when we watch Fulham. Like, sometimes there's just such a lack of quality.
Harry Wilson shouldn't change any game.
You know, like, Iwobi shouldn't be on 5-6 goals.
5 assists, whatever. Yeah, Harry Wilson shouldn't come on and change any game.
He doesn't really bag goals like that.
Yeah. Smith Rowe has been so spotty goal-wise, like contribution-wise this season, been so spotty. I agree, and they don't even really get goals from the defenders. Like Calvin Bassett gets a goal or two, but
he's got Robinson with 10 assists. Because Robert, you go down the line, Muniz and him, and
like Diaz though, Robertson has been on 9 assists from the first half of the season. He's just turned back into a defensive left back now.
Yeah, Marco Silva's made the adjustment, but look, Fulham, if they get any sort of European football,
it's a phenomenal season.
Well done, Marco Silva. Well played. And lastly, and hopefully we won't be as boring as this actual game was. Yeah, because I almost fell asleep at the Emirates Stadium on Sunday when Arsenal beat Chelsea 1-0. Seems to be a bit of a common occurrence. Arsenal beating Chelsea.
Yeah.
And look, I left this game till last because there's almost nothing to talk about other than Merino won us more points.
And Merino.
And actually, I want to give Merino some praise. Because I got some stick when I had him in my top 10 transfers. Namely from Nick. But I think Merino, he's doing the absolute maximum he possibly could. He's never played striker before. He's going in there as a makeshift striker.
Yeah.
And he's actually just winning us points.
Look, that header yesterday is literally equal to 3 points.
Yeah.
And in a London derby, like I agree with you. I was very on board with Merino at the beginning. And then I say at the beginning. At the very beginning, I wasn't on board with Merino.
Yeah.
Because I wanted a bigger sort of star name player. But in terms of like when he actually joined and was playing games for us, I was very on board with Merino. And then I was like, but actually, what's going on here? Like I feel like this guy is slow in midfield and slows the game down. But I agree, like in terms of like the overall package that we've got this season, I think it is to be as expected, and maybe if not a bit more than expected in terms of his actual numbers. Like Merino's to be sitting on 5-6 goals, I think anybody would have taken that at the beginning of the season. As you've said, he's playing a whole new position. Good thing about Merino, apart from when Gabriel's just clattered him, he's been fit all year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with sort of how it's shaken out for Merino. Just because of how dire things would have been if Merino wasn't here.
You know what I'm saying?
Like how bad would things have been if Merino?
What's the option then?
Yeah, Merino wasn't here. And he takes everything on board. He approaches the game with an Arteta sort of like, I watch film and all of this kind of stuff and
give 100%.
Give 100%. I'll run the hard. That West Ham game, as much as we lost that game, I was like, Merino must not enjoy any of that. But he's run he's tried to set the press and he's bro, it's so check and Kilman at the back post and he's just contest for headers. And, you know. It's not easy, man.
The Spanish midfielder.
Come on, he's just on 10 years of boxed up tiki taka, and you know,
La Liga ball.
Yeah, so
that's why I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I will. Bro, I heard that he's got 4 goals and 1 assist since starting as a striker.
Yeah,
since playing as a striker for us, and we would have taken that if it was anybody. You know,
they said on Sky after his goal, 4 goals in 7 appearances in his last 7.
Yo. And you should have had more. Like we're coming away with things, and you should have had more goals in these games.
Chance,
you know. So I will give his credit, but to your point, man, like apart from the Merino monster class header, won the goal. Yeah. I don't think there's much in the game, and
my only other note here is Chelsea are trash.
Chelsea. It's easier to speak on Chelsea. I was just gonna say on Arsenal that like I didn't actually expect Arsenal to win a game of football until Saka got back. I was sort of very confident that nothing would happen for us until Saka got back. So to see this go win and to see this win,
and you were a Merino
header
away from being right.
Yeah, does it get
that's fallen in? We didn't create anything else really. No quality. Just Merino somehow managed to make an absolutely terrible corner from Odegaard fall into the back of the
If Chelsea had if Nkunku had stayed there, that just doesn't happen, and this game ends 0-0.
I don't know. I just don't know. I still don't know how that's happened.
But Chelsea are poor, man. Chelsea are poor.
I know. Like, obviously, I was in the stadium, and I don't know how it felt at home. But other than the like normal nerves you get as a fan towards the end of the game, wanting to pick up the 3 points, I didn't really feel like there was a threat.
Towards the end of the game, I definitely didn't feel that. The only nerves I got was like, just like, is some bullshit gonna happen? Like when Raya, it's really just on Raya.
But that's I'm finding that in the classic Arsenal nerves.
But so that's just the only like thing that made me think, is there gonna be a deflected or something? But
nothing Chelsea would do.
Nothing Chelsea were doing was moving to us.
Yeah.
And I was nervous, and I think we're gonna have to bring on somebody.
None of their players.
Tighten up. I was even telling my brother, I was like, it was like the 87th minute, and I was like, we need to get Calafiori on. Lewis Skelly's looking tired, and he was like, is he? He's like, I was like, we need to short things up and see out this win. And he was like, I don't really
Ben White minutes.
Yeah, he was like, I don't really think they're doing anything. I don't really think they're up so much.
And they won. They won.
that's just my paranoia. That was just nothing else. It was nothing else more than my paranoia. But on Chelsea, I just think like, bro, this second half of the season, it's not getting enough. I was gonna say love. That's the wrong term, but it's
what
not.
Was it? They've won 4 in their last 13.
It's not getting enough of like. It's not
Airtime.
getting spoken about enough. Media coverage. It's not getting enough. Like Chelsea were in a title race, you know, or Chelsea were ahead of Arsenal points in the season, and Chelsea were doing this and that. And I've seen some Chelsea fans say that like they don't know how their team is still fourth. I don't know how Chelsea are still fourth. It just feels like they've got 4 wins in 13. I just feels like I see Chelsea win 1 game every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But start of the next match week, it's like, oh, Chelsea are in the top 4. I don't know how.
And that tells you how great their start of the season was, right?
And also, the questions about the Maresco Poch thing are really, really going to ramp up for the run-in. Poch put it together. This is where Poch actually started getting results.
Yeah.
These like
starting to build something.
Yeah. It was like a back-to-back. It was like a loss and a draw to Burnley and Sheffield, and then it was like points. Just going to get 3 points. You know? So, I think if Maresca... look... I don't know if Chelsea will sack him. Honestly, I don't.
They won't.
But I don't think that Chelsea are going to get top 5. And I think it will be devastating for Chelsea if they don't get top 5. Like, they'll go and they'll sign all the other guys. The guys from the Portuguese league and the guys from this league and the guys from that league. But in terms of what Chelsea fans are looking for, Chelsea fans are looking for a Gyökeres type signing. They're looking for a number 9. They're looking for, like, a real winger that's gonna, you know,
they want to be in the market for Isak.
Yeah. I don't know, like unless Chelsea get top 4, I just don't, or top 5, I just don't know how that will be possible for Chelsea.
Well, if Newcastle don't get it, why would Isak leave to go to another club that's not playing Champions League football?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be real tough. Beyond the like kid who doesn't really have much to his name yet, who's looking at a 9-year, 80k, 80k deal. Like, I need to take this.
And did you see? There's a thing apparently that they can send Sancho back to Man United.
Back to Man United. The custody match of Sancho.
If Chelsea pay like a heavy fee,
bro, the custody match,
like 10 million.
I said it to you off the pod. If I was Chelsea, I would flip Sancho in a heartbeat. I would pay the 20 mil, 25 mil loan fee, full-time fee, and go straight to Germany and say, hey guys, I need 30 mil. I need whatever you've paid. If it's 20 mil, I need 25 mil. If it's 25 mil, I need 30 mil. From any German club to go and take Sancho. Any Spanish club to go and take Sancho.
I hear that. But what wages are they going to put Sancho on? If
Chelsea
go and buy him.
I mean, the worst thing Chelsea could do is pay 20 mil and then do the whole loan. Sancho does 3 years of loans.
I have a feeling that Chelsea are going to send him back, and Man United are just going to have him back, which I think is a horrible look for Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 of the best clubs in England who both don't want you, and are both not like
fighting to send you to the other one.
Yeah. And obviously, well, maybe he's a 10 in Amarim's system, maybe, but I think mentally, I don't think Sancho can go back to United and play his best football.
After all the freedom and come on, man, United fans have sold that one. They've given up on that one. But look, that's all the games we're going to talk about this weekend. Next week, make sure you guys tune in and make sure you subscribe, because next week we'll be dropping a heater of an episode, one that's very topical, one that will cause some arguments, some debates.
Okay.
One that's been in the works for a minute now. So make sure you look out for that. MVPs and rookies.
That's just blanket statement MVP for Newcastle.
Yeah. Cool.
Everyone involved.
I'm with that.
Everyone who needs to be involved is involved.
My first one is going to James Harden.
Unovic. Fear the beard.
Who's been on an absolute tear recently, averaging like 30 plus points in his last 10 games, 10 plus rebounds, and the Clippers are rising, because I've also got one for Norman Powell.
Yeah.
Return to Norm. He's back, putting up some buckets. Good to see you back. Good to see you playing just in time for playoffs.
I will give my MVP. I actually have more rookies than MVPs. I'll give my MVP to
what you just sent me, Obi Toppin.
Stepping up.
Indiana Pacers.
No franchise players.
No franchise players, just team morale, team mentality here.
The average Joes.
You'll get love from me.
I had Merino as well.
Yeah, Merino definitely deserves it. I'll give Calvin Bassey an MVP for sure. That video is hilarious. That video is hilarious.
Left Romero on the floor. He sent him flying.
It's the way Romero does the roly-poly before he gets back up. Well, I'll give Calvin Bassey an MVP for sure.
Tottenham fans are saying, everybody keeps bringing up that clip, but Romero played well.
In the 2-0 loss. Sessegnon MVP, big time.
Duncan, your old club.
Big time. I'll give Thomas Frank an MVP, man.
That was a big win.
Brentford are like, I can't say in and amongst it, but they're right there, bro. Anybody,
they're not too far.
Anybody slips up, Brentford are right there, man. Literally right there. The Wissa and Bremo that falls underneath Thomas Frank. 14 and 15 goals a piece. I can't believe that.
When I said that,
I can't believe that. That's crazy. Rookies, bro. Mike Ashley.
Yeah.
I like, he doesn't care. He's a billionaire, whatever, you know. But surely there's a part of you that's like, I had this club for however long.
Yeah.
And 2 years after they sell, they start winning trophies and start saying this is the best day of my life. And he's a billionaire, so he doesn't care. I get it.
But he also chose to run the club the way he ran the club.
Yeah, he did. But and isn't that testament? Like, you chose to run the club this way, to extract money and business, all that kind of stuff.
Change the name of the stadium, Sports Direct Arena.
That was nasty. And now new owners have come in and everybody's saying that this is the best day of my life within 2 years. This is my favorite day as a Newcastle fan. Yeah. Mike Ashley, as much as he might look at Newcastle as a business, he surely wanted it to do well. Yeah.
But you know what he must have got for the buyout?
Yeah, as I say, it's difficult because he got paid out, but he's also got to have watched the game with people that wanted Newcastle, like Newcastle fans almost, that wanted Newcastle to win. That must have been
Mike Ashley.
Yeah,
I don't think Mike Ashley surrounds himself with
not Newcastle fans as in like the local lad, but Newcastle fans
despise
Newcastle fans in the sense of like, I grew up in Newcastle. I'm also a businessman. I'm also like on these boards and executive meetings. And like, hey, Mike, did you catch the game? What did you think? And Mike's, it was good. Finally, it's good for the fans to have some of this.
It's $15 million man.
Exactly. So you can't be a complete rookie, but he is a rookie just because
he's a rookie for how he ran that football club.
How he run the football club, but also more important, like for the football club to be seeing his best days ever. Guys, Newcastle, I'm sure if you go to a tattoo parlor in Newcastle right now, everybody's got this date tattooed on them. Yeah. And now, like, he could have been a part of that.
Yeah.
So he's a rookie for how he's chosen to run the club because he could have given fans maybe something similar to how they feel today.
Yeah.
Instead of relegation after relegation, fight after relegation fight. You know. And then my second rookie is to Paul George again. Paul George, they've shut him down for the season. Shut the 76ers down. I was calling for this for weeks. But now that it's happened,
going back to podcasting.
That's what Centel is tweeting. They were like, procedure P is out, but podcast P is back.
Procedure P.
And it will be nasty work if he does go back to podcasting. But just in general, Paul George, like, this has been and you've had some low moments in your career, but this has been a shocking season. And I get it, Joel's out, and I hate Joel way more than I hate you. Yeah. And a lot of this falls more on Joel. But with Joel being out, and you kind of knew coming to the 76ers that Joel will be in and out, it doesn't seem like Paul George has ever once stepped up to say, all right, I'm going to hold this down for a while.
Yeah.
While Joel is out, Joel's dealing with this one thing or another, I'm going to be the guy that's paid $211 million over 3 years, 4 years, and I'm going to just make my money. You know, I'm going to stand up to what guys are saying to me.
Did you expect Paul George to do that?
I semi did, at least for a stretch of the season.
Yeah.
Like, not in the playoffs, no. But at least for a stretch in the season, Paul, and Tyrese are balling because Paul has decided that these 4-5 losses in a row aren't good enough. But it just seems like Paul's happy with the 4-5 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Seems like Paul doesn't necessarily
he went
want
to Philly
change that.
from LA, yeah?
Yeah.
And was he really doing that at LA?
No, he wasn't, but I don't blame him at LA because there was Harden, there was Kawhi, who were both almost bigger and better players than Paul George.
Yeah.
So it's like...
But he still wasn't
doing it, and they were injured respectively, the two of them, so he should have stepped up, but it was always like, when Kawhi gets back, when Harden gets back, and, that we'll see how they fit together. And even in LA, he did have some big games. Yeah, even in the playoffs, he had some big games, but I just feel like this stint at Philly, after moving from LA, not accepting what they were offering you as an extension, deciding that I am a big name player, big face, big guy in this league, going to the 76ers, who essentially were going to make you their franchise player because Joel was so in and out. I just can't believe he's not stepped up to the plate, at 31 or however old Paul George is, to have a stretch of games where guys are like, Paul George is cooking. Everyone's had that.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a stretch of games. Reeves and all these third scoring options have had
Connect.
a stretch. Yeah, exactly.
Back in December and whatever.
Yeah. Everyone's had that. And now we're shutting them down for the season. And now it's over.
Who did we see drain a 3-pointer for Minnesota? Julius Randle.
Yeah. Julius Randle. Come on.
Yeah.
Julius Randle's going to have his little moment when Julius is back and we're doing things. I just feel like we've never had a 3-game stretch this season at all from Paul George where it's like, Paul turned up. He has 3 games where he's consecutively got over 20 points and helped his team to a win.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's been poor.
I've got Ben Davies.
Yeah.
Ragdolled.
Right, yeah.
Thrown around. Sessegnon scored. And I've got Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, good ones.
Because that Van Nistelrooy record
is
7 home games without scoring a goal.
It's nasty.
1 win in the last 14. I'm surprised he's still in a job, unless Leicester are just planning to stick with him in the Championship.
I don't think he'll stay as well. I think he'll be that much of an arsehole. He'll be so Dutch about it that when they confirm relegation, I'm also leaving.
I'm not going to the Championship.
Yeah.
So, but Ruud van Nistelrooy has been horrendous.
And my last MVP would be Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. That's a valid one.
Good week, good game.
Yeah.
He's shut up the haters for now.
The interview was good as well.
Yeah.
I think he answered questions in the right way and whatnot. So, yeah, look, I think that's it from us. So, thank you guys for listening. If you have got to the end of this episode, please hit the subscribe button. It'll let you know when we upload. And we've got a heater coming out next week. So, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.